West Papua, Indonesia, is home to Asia's largest remaining rainforests. But resource companies are paying as little as $5 a hectare for this ecological paradise through questionable land grabs.
Hutan kami ini sudah diambil oleh perusahaan. Terus saya tanyakan izinnya di mana. Ini tanah-tanah adalah saya punya.
Indigenous tribes accuse South Korean-run palm oil giants of plundering West Papua for a pittance.
The $300 million revenue is pure fantasy. That's not the case at all.
101 East investigates allegations of fraud and human rights abuses in land deals worth billions of dollars. "4,000 kilometres from the Indonesian capital Jakarta, West Papua is as wild as it gets. The province is a rich tapestry of wetlands, savannas and forests, where indigenous tribes have lived for centuries. Local ranger Lahisa says half of Indonesia's biodiversity is found here.
Secara global mungkin semua orang tahu bahwa ini adalah salah satu paru-paru untuk dunia kita, untuk bumi kita. Saya pikir tempat ini surga karena ketika mereka masuk di hutan sini, ya mereka akan melihat semacam tempat yang mereka tidak pernah bayangkan, tidak pernah mereka bayangkan sebelum itu.
But Indonesia has some of the fastest deforestation rates in the world. Lahisa says West Papua's wilderness and hundreds of indigenous tribes are now under threat.
Sudah banyak tanah-tanah mereka berpindah tangan ke orang lain, diperjualbelikan. Sehingga mereka mulai kehilangan tanah sedikit-sedikit, mulai hilang tanah mereka. Kita menginginkan supaya anak-anak kecil di kemudian hari setelah menjadi dewasa tidak hanya mendengarkan hutan Papua melalui cerita atau melalui dongeng.
Investigating the issue isn't easy. Soldiers monitor us.
Bahwa ada kegiatan di kampung wilayah kami gitu, wilayah kami.
Okay.
Itu aja.
West Papuan separatists have been fighting to gain independence from Indonesia for 50 years. Foreign observers are rarely granted entry to this wrested province, where more than 30 people were killed in clashes with the army last year. But we've gained special access to West Papua's conservation zones.
Setelah ini silakan Bapak ke ruang tamu.
There are military posts like this one across the national park.
As we head deep into the heart of West Papua, we see widespread destruction that locals say is fueling their anger. More than a decade ago, Indonesia opened up the region to the resource sector and allowed companies to buy up tribal land. Two companies that benefited from this sell-off are Coringo and POSCO International, whose major investors are based in South Korea. In a year-long investigation with journalists from Monga Bay and the Gecko Project, 101 East has uncovered evidence which suggests some of these deals were mired in fraud and human rights abuses.
Seringkali ada binatang atau burung, tapi sekarang sudah tidak ada lagi. Maka saya berdiri lihat ke sana, kiri kanan tempat yang dulu sudah tidak ada lagi seperti semula, karena sudah tanah kelapa sawit.
Linasomba is a leader of the Mandobo tribe. He's showing us their ancestral land. Spanning more than 3,000 hectares, he says their forest was destroyed in 2012 when a POSCO International subsidiary cleared all the trees and planted oil palms without their consent.
Ketika kita membuktikan dengan kebenaran cerita, menurut cerita sejarah dan lain-lain, kepada perusahaan mengakui bahwa inilah mereka, dua orang ini yang mengakui sebagai yang punya tanah adat.
Linus told the company there was a long-standing agreement between the Mandobo and their neighbouring tribe, the Marind, to share the land. But these documents show the land deal only had agreement from two Marind elders.
Salah satunya adalah Stefanus Mause, yang kedua adalah Damianus Yone Basik-Basik. Ketidakadilan ini membuat masyarakat bahwa mereka sebagai suku Mandobo yang ada di tanah adat ini, perusahaan datang ini tidak melalui prosedur.
This company, called PTBIA, bought the forest for $5 a hectare, with an estimated total land sale of $200,000. While Linus's tribe got nothing, leaked documents show that the company expected to make more than $1 billion from the timber and plantation. A few months after the deal, Korean giant POSCO International bought PTBIA, retaining its owners as local managers.
Saya pegawai negeri, kenapa saya bertahan untuk membelah tanah? Karena tanah saya tidak diperjualbelikan lagi. Saya harap tanah adat kami dikembalikan.
We spoke to both Marind elders who admit to taking the company's money.
Lihat dokumen ini.
One of the signatories, Damianus Yone Basik-Basik, concedes that Linus's forest was included in the deal.
Iya, memang Bapak tanda tangan. Bapak Linus cerita juga ya itu benar. Dia berperjanjian.
Basik-Basik signed a deal leasing the land to the company for 35 years, after which ownership would be passed on to the Indonesian government. In return, the Marind elder says his tribe would receive cars and housing, but he alleges they received no benefits.
Do you feel any guilt given all the land was destroyed?
Ya, Bapak juga menyesal juga. Itu kan sudah namanya sudah penipuan untuk Bapak. Itu Bapak bisa anggap itu penipuan. Mereka punya itu juga perjanjian itu ya sudah lupa begitu. Sekarang mana? Tidak diperhatikan ke pemilik.
POSCO International denied the deal was fraudulent. They claim their project provided adequate compensation and was approved by all levels of government. Back in the forest, Linus Omba prays to his ancestors, asking for help. But he's also resorted to more confrontational measures.
Pemalangan di kantor, divisi semua. Saya palang itu. Perusahaan kelapa sawit masuk itu selalu kami masyarakat adat dihadapi dengan TNI Polri. Maka kami tidak rasa nyaman.
This amateur footage at a roadblock near POSCO International's plantation shows armed forces firing a rifle in a confrontation with Linus and other tribespeople. He says such incidents can become even more hostile.
Saya bilang, tidak usah gertak-gertak saya bilang. Kalau berani tembak saya bilang, lalu saya maju ke laras. Saya bilang. Tembak Pak. Dia tarik trekel kedua kali. Bunyi di telinga sini. Jadi sampai 5 kali. Magasen pun juga. Longsong juga ada waktu itu. Kami lapor ke polsek terdekat.
POSCO International argue all dealings with local communities predated their acquisition of the land, and in a statement deny all allegations of fraud and misconduct. The company claims local managers provided sufficient consultation to help tribes determine ownership and compensation under Indonesian customary law. But a 2009 legal document leaked to 101 East states the same local managers were trying to acquire land without verifying the owners. POSCO International claims this so-called insufficiency was resolved in 2011. But meeting notes provided by the company reveal they were still resolving tribal land boundaries on Linus's block in 2016, more than 3 years after the forest was destroyed. Other Indigenous communities accuse Karindo, West Papua's biggest palm oil producer, of taking their land in similar disputes. Augustinus Tomba's tribe and 5 other clans claim they were never told their forest had been sold in 2010.
Jadi kita dengar bunyi alat berat. Kami pantau sendiri lewat hutan. Kami pantau sampai di sana. Oh, ternyata ini person sudah masuk. Person sudah masuk garap di wilayah kita. Itu dusun. Aku lihat kita begitu. Kami keras. Tetapi dari pihak perusahaan itu orang bilang sini kan atas nama baru dijual.
Villagers say they were not employed to work on the project, and Karindo gave affected families just $100 each, 1/7 of what they demanded.
Masyarakat sini tidak tolak bantuan datang, masyarakat tidak terima. Kalau perusahaan dia niat untuk bantu, masyarakat terima. Tetapi jangan bantu baru minta tempat lagi, minta hutan lagi. Jadi masyarakat tidak mau.
Karindo's chief sustainability officer, Kwang Yor-pek, denies all allegations the company has violated people's rights.
There are conflicts, there are, misunderstandings, but all in all, I think if you were to take a survey with the residents there, they would be highly favorable our development. We generate 11,500 direct employment. We built about 500 kilometers of road. We provide electricity to some residents, and also we have provided one full-service hospital, 19 medical clinics, 20 schools, 66 mosques and churches. We are doing a lot of development.
Local store owner Petrus Kingo worked with Karindo after one of the company's subsidiaries approached him in 2014 with promises of development for local tribes.
Bapak dorang kalau tahan hutan begini, bagaimana Bapak dong perkembangan ke depan? Kalau Bapak dorang mau hidup yang baik, mau sejahtera, perusahaan mau rencana buka lahan, Bapak dong berikan supaya perusahaan buka, Bapak dorang juga bisa samakan dengan Indonesia lain.
Impressed with Karindo's sales pitch, Petrus persuaded his tribe and 10 other clans to sell their forest for $8 a hectare. They also asked for houses, electricity and school scholarships. But he claims Karindo avoided putting the deal on paper and instead gave them $70,000 among other gifts.
Kami disuruh ke sini, ke sana, terus semua dikasih dengan uang. Penginapannya yang dibayar dengan mahal. Wah, ini hotel-hotel mewah. Terus ke diskotik. Jadi semua dia bilang, sudah nanti baru saya fotokopi kasih. Cuma janji.
Without a written contract, the clans rejected the deal. But Petrus says the company obtained government approvals to build the plantation anyway by misrepresenting tribal discussions as an agreement.
Cuma dia kumpulkan masyarakat, buat dokumentasi, daftar absen hadir itu, setelah itu baru dia naik. Supaya proses izin ini bisa keluar namanya AGU.
No such tactics took place. We have been fair, we have been transparent, we have been open, and we have conducted the proper negotiations per the laws and regulations of Indonesian government. It's not true that we did not go through the proper channels.
But Karindo's conduct has been the subject of a 2-year probe by the Forest Stewardship Council, or FSC, a global certification body for sustainable timber. After legal threats from the company, the certification body only published a redacted summary of its investigation, which recommended Karindo be stripped of its FSC membership. The redacted report also found Karindo violated the human rights of West Papuans and destroyed 30,000 hectares of high conservation value forest.
In Papua, it's almost impossible not to choose primary forest. We did convert about 60,000 hectares of forest into farm. And obviously there was a destruction of environmental values.
In excerpts from the uncensored report seen by 101 East, the authors found Karindo benefited from close military ties to obtain economic advantage. They estimate West Papuan tribes lost $300 million in these timber deals and said Karindo acquired land for as little as $4 per hectare.
They are grossly misleading accusations. In spite of the contents of those reports, FSC decided to maintain membership with us. It was their decision, and we're happy with their decision.
In a written response to the redacted report, Karindo recognised there may have been some shortcomings in some of our operations. What are these shortcomings?
Of course, there could be improvements, and specifically, I guess we could build more schools for the better. If I just to pop in my head. Yes, I think of all things in life, I think we could have done more, we could have done better.
Based on industry data, 101 East estimates Karindo exported wood worth more than $320 million from their projects, a figure the company denies. But it's clear tribes got mega sums for their land. Is that fair compensation for the transfer of their land and resources to Karindo?
The market dictates the price, not us.
In a West Papuan town, we meet Nicholas Mahuze, a tribesman who says he worked with Karindo and POSCO International to acquire forests. Nicholas confirms in deals he witnessed, some tribes were only offered $5 a hectare.
Do you think Karindo is a fair, honest negotiator?
Perjanjian yang kemudian bukan hari ini dia janji, besoknya tidak. Jadi tidak memperhatikan hak-hak dasar.
Nicholas says a driving force in many tribal negotiations was Johannes Gebze, who is from one of West Papua's most powerful political families. In 2007, when Gebze was an elected local government leader, he promised these land deals would deliver incredible prosperity. Photos obtained by 101 East showed Gebze in a hotel with a Karindo director, allegedly signing concession documents. Government maps show that on one day alone, Gebze granted permits covering 160,000 hectares of rainforest to companies that were later sold to Karindo and POSCO International.
Itu bupati bagian daripada perjanjian, karena semua perjanjian itu harus ditandatangani oleh kepala daerah. Jadi tidak boleh kemudian bupati diam.
On this remote property, Johannes Gebze is currently under house arrest for unrelated corruption offences. We contact him by phone.
Sebenarnya saya ingin jauh dari hal-hal seperti itu. Kita udah capek ya.
Gebze denies his local government approved the permits. He blames national politicians who were in power at the time of the deals.
Di sini di Jakarta sana, hak guna usaha semua itu ada di atas Jakarta sana. Berhenti, stop bikin judul-judul kambing hitam. Jangan kau telepon saya lagi. Capek dengan segala urusannya. Kita udah merana gara-gara
Nah justru karena itu kita mau.
What connects POSCO International and Karindo to the contentious land deals is this Korean businessman, Kim Nam-koo, who appears in many of the photos and documents we've obtained. Kim Nam-koo started plantation companies, obtained lucrative licenses through Gebze and other politicians, then sold them to both companies for tens of millions of dollars. Nicholas Mahuze says he received a $300 monthly stipend from Kim Nam-koo to help facilitate land deals for him.
Karena awal persoalan semua dari dampak-dampak yang ditimbulkan akibat dia bongkar hutan, dia bikin pabrik, Nah, itu yang dia sumber masalah. Dia langsung datang yang diikuti dengan SKPD terkait dari Merauke, Badan Investasi dan Promosi, kemudian Kepala Distrik langsung turun ke masyarakat.
In such meetings, 101 East has confirmed Kim Nam Koo paid as little as $5 a hectare to tribes for their forest. This document shows he was the director of PTBIA, the company that brokered the controversial land deal which led to the destruction of Linus Omba's forest. Damianis Yono Basik says he met Kim Nam Koo during the negotiations, and in a traditional ceremony they split this pig skull to mark that a deal had been done.
Kim Nam Koo kan dia hadir waktu kita bikin ritual yang dia ada bawa pulang kepala dagu babi dengan kepala babi kita tahan. Itu surat kontrak.
And it was Kim Nam Koo who then signed a contract to sell his company, PTBIA, to POSCO International. The price, $10 million. With help from the Korea Center for Investigative Journalism, we call Kim Nam Koo.
지금 뭐 고문으로 있고요, PTBIA에. 고문으로 있고 지분이 좀 있고 그래요. 그러니까 이제 큰 기업하고 같이 해서 그 개발을 하게 된 거죠. 제가 일을 하면서 그쪽 일을 했거든요. 그 농장 개발 업무 이런 걸 해가지고 제가 여기 인도네시아 살면서 몇십 년을 살았거든요. 30년 넘게.
This was not the only deal Kim Nam Koo was brokering. 101 East has financial statements which show in 2013 a Corindo shell company in Singapore made a payment of nearly $22 million to an unnamed consultant described as an expert in getting plantation rights. We asked Kim Nam Koo about the payment.
그런 거는 제가 지금 말씀드릴 수가 없고요. 그쪽 회사에다 물어보라고 그러세요.
So we did. And in a written statement, Corindo executives confirmed that the $22 million consultant is Kim Nam Koo. They claimed the payment gave them ownership of his company and almost 40,000 hectares of West Papuan rainforest. Corindo says that translates to around $560 a hectare for the land. Kim Nam Koo pocketed at least $30 million from land sales to the palm oil giants. But West Papuan tribes say they got very little or nothing at all. He refuses to discuss these deals.
어디 이거 때비야 낭송 텔레폰 하자봐. 소리야봐요.
Corindo's $22 million payment raises questions, as plantation permits have little or no cost in Indonesia.
I would want to know whether a company looked into...
Bruce Searby, a former prosecutor at the US Department of Justice, is an expert on financial crime.
What kind of expert is paid that much money at a market rate? And what kinds of things besides expertise are being provided?
Do you think the authorities should be investigating this case?
Law enforcement ought to be taking a hard look at cases in the palm oil sector where there are huge unexplained payments to consultants that are possible signs of corruption. There certainly are lots of bribery cases where the term consultancy is used as a euphemism for bribe payments through an intermediary or a bagman for corrupt public officials.
The Indonesian government declined to comment. Corindo denies any involvement in bribery or any wrongdoing in this matter. After logging 760 square kilometres, POSCO International and Corindo say they have stopped large-scale deforestation in West Papua for now. Both companies have lost palm oil deals with major traders and brands like Nestle. Some indigenous tribes say they feel robbed. Corindo makes no apologies.
Some rights groups say Corindo should return customary lands, resolve tribal conflicts and fairly compensate local communities for lost livelihoods and damaged ecosystems. Will Corindo do that?
Will Americans return their land to Apaches and Cherokees? We acquired those lands through legal means and with a agreement with both Indonesian government and residents. And we made proper compensation with which they're happy. Yes, there are those who are not happy with it, but that's not the view of the whole people.
In a bid to protect native forests, Indonesia's current government banned new palm oil licenses for 3 years. But that ends in 2021. A change in political power could leave West Papua's isolated communities open to a new wave of unscrupulous investors. The opaque system that's led to past land conflicts and corruption remains broken. With vast profits to be made, how long can West Papua's pristine wilderness survive?